Call 1-800-219-5577 right now.
Who can resist
You're getting big.
an interesting twist?
Yeah.
Like Kellogg's new Nutri-Grain Twists in 3 deliciously twisted new flavors.
Anybody want to walk for a little while? No, me neither.
Yeah.
Right now, it's your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
A weekend filled with bad weather underway in the Pacific Northwest, where you've already had heavy rain, you've seen a lot of wind, and even some snow in the higher terrain. Hello everyone, I'm Warren Madden. Welcome to this edition of Weather Center, sponsored by Oppenheimer Funds.
And I'm Jeff Morrow. It's a wet Friday evening in parts of the Northeast as well, not quite as heavy as out west, but rain nonetheless, and you're probably wondering whether Saturday is going to be the same. We'll get to that forecast in just a moment, but first let's talk about the Pacific Northwest. And this is just the beginning of what promises to be several days of stormy weather in Washington, Oregon, and Northern California. We'll take you to Portland, Oregon, first of all, and you've been feeling pretty much the full force of this storm. Rain started around daybreak and remained pretty much steady through much of the day and into this evening. You're also fighting some pretty gusty winds, which at times today were gusting over 35 miles an hour. Now, the storm was already being blamed for flooding in parts of coastal Oregon. This is Clatsop County in the northwest corner of the state, where parts of Highway 101 were underwater today. The flooding here is caused by runoff from the surrounding higher terrain. Again, just way too much water coming down in a short period of time. We figured this one was going to be a stronger system than the one we had last night, and we were right. Some unstable area, you can tell that by the mottled nature of the clouds up here over the North Pacific. That, as it comes in, will cause it to be more of a scattered shower kind of a pattern across much of Washington state as we head on through Saturday. But right now, the main thrust of the moisture is headed right on into Oregon and just clipping extreme northwest California. Now, it's not only the rain, it's not only the snow in the mountains, but it's the gusty winds. You can see all the isobars here on the map really close together, an indication of a very strong wind flow. And indeed, we had wind gusts upwards of 72 miles an hour along the Oregon coast, Astoria going up to 60, and even up along the northern end of the Puget Sound in Washington at Bellingham, winds gusting to 63 miles an hour. No surprise at all that there are still gale warnings in effect, and we have heavy surf advisories too, at least on into this evening. We'll double check to see if they extend on into the day on Saturday. I'm fairly confident that they will. If you are traveling along the 5, you're going to have some very wet roadways, and if you're going up through the mountain passes, well, you may run into a little bit of snow. Folks that went through Snoqualmie Pass, Washington, where I-90 crosses the Cascades earlier today, definitely had the snow to deal with. 10 inches of the white stuff before it changed over to all rain, and it is raining at Snoqualmie and Stampede Pass. Stevens Pass, too, picked up 10 inches of snow before changing to rain. Snow levels right now hovering right around 5,000 feet, but as this front sweeps on by, the elevation that you find the snow will get lower and get below the pass level So if you're traveling up through one of the aforementioned Snoqualmie or Stevens Pass or any of the other passes here, even into Oregon, you'll probably run into some snow. Again, starting to become more of a showery rain north of Seattle, but anywhere south of there, still pretty steady and heavy all the way into northwest California near Eureka and Mount Shasta. Here's a look at your snowfall amounts. Above 5,000 feet tonight, maybe another 3 to 6 inches through mid-morning. And you know what? That's just the beginnings. More moisture coming all the way across the Pacific, headed right into northern California. Some of that energy will be translated into gusty winds farther east. And with more on that story, here's Warren.
Jeff, you are very correct. That storm also is being felt in Montana, where it is producing a lot of wind, and it's going to get worse tomorrow. It's called a Chinook wind, and Janetta Jones is here to tell us more about it in this report.
Wind is air that moves parallel to the surface of the ground. A Chinook wind is a type of warm, dry wind that occurs on the eastern slopes of the Rockies. Initially, it brings with it a sharp rise in temperature. Here's how it works. As cool air spills over the eastern slopes, two things happen to cause the jump in temperature. One, air naturally warms as it spills down an incline. Two, this strong rush of warm air can displace a pocket of cooler air at the base of the slope. A Chinook can cause the temperature to rise as much as 20 degrees in as little as 15 minutes. Although Chinook winds are associated with the Rockies, similar winds can happen on the slopes of any substantial mountain range. Janetta Jones, the Weather Channel.
And we will be continuing to see those Chinook winds during the day on Saturday and really on into Sunday also. As a matter of fact, that's going to be presenting some very mild conditions in the high plains and the into the, not just the high plains, but the Great Plains right on through the day on Saturday and Sunday, seeing temperatures in the 60s and even in some cases the 70s. But hang on to those hats, it's going to be blustery. Now farther to the east, we're still dealing with this front here. This is the same front. Remember that storm a couple of days ago that dumped the snow in western Minnesota and around Grand Forks and Fargo? That's well up. That's way out here now. That's heading out toward the Canadian Maritimes. But the same cold front is still dragging down from it and taking its sweet time getting out of there. In fact, it's still hanging around right along the coast of New England and then coming down toward the mouth of Chesapeake Bay. Behind it, winds turn around to the northwest, and we're seeing some snow tonight in the Great Lakes. We'll take this all one at a time. We started off in the northeast, and I wanted to point out here that we still have the rain going on along the coast of Maine and then coming down in through southern New England. And one place that has seen a rainy night of it, my hometown, Boston, Massachusetts. Here we are. It's like Faneuil Hall, Quincy Market area, City Hall Plaza.
Cable carriers over to cable carriers until you don't know.